It's been a month since part 1 of my competitive Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile, and I'm back with an update. After a lot of trial and error, I managed to win locals with the deck list I'll be showcasing in this video. Consider checking out part 1 if you have the time. Similar to before, I'll be showcasing this deck list in the OCG format, since it's the official format I play when featuring competitive builds. For the main deck, we play 3 Power Vice Dragon, as this is one of our starters. 3 Soul Resonator, as it is one of our main starters, and the card we prioritize normal summoning. On Red Lotus King, unlike before, we can now fully play both Soul Resonator and Red Lotus King, since we no longer run Dominus Spark, as it has slightly fallen off in the OCG format. 3 Bone Archfiend, as again one of our starters. 1 copy each of the remaining Resonator monsters, Synkron, Vision, and Darkness Resonator. 1 Bystial Lubellion, 1 Bystial Magnamhut, 1 Bystial Druiswurm, as this card is an optional card we can play to avoid adding more bricks, but it's still a good removal against the meta decks in the format. I play the Albaz engine, running 3 copies of the Fallen of White, as it is a strong extender, and 1 copy of Ecclesia, as it is another starter in our deck. For the hand traps, we play 3 copies of Harmonia, 3 Fuwalos, 1 Maxx, and yes, it's available here in OCG, 2 Ash Blossom, and 1 copy of Droll, since a lot of decks loses to this card. For the spells, we run 3 copies of Crimson Gaia, and this is one of our starters. Since we play the Albaz engine, we run 3 copies of the Fallen and the Virtuous. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, as this is one of our starters, and we either send Vision Resonator or Bone Archfiend to start a combo. 1 copy of Crimson Call, and 1 copy of Called by the Grave. For the traps, we play 1 copy of King's Resonance, 1 copy of Etude of the Branded, since I think it's better in the current format and can shut down some annoying graveyard plays. It's also the card I won with in the finals, since I was facing against Elvennotes. 1 copy of Red Dragon Archfiend's Chain. It's a good card either going first or second, and can force your opponent to activate their monster effects early. 1 copy of Dimensional Barrier. It's a bit toxic, but it runs very well in our deck because of Red Lotus can send it to the graveyard, and Red Nova Dragon can retrieve it. And 2 copies of Dominus Impulse. For the extra deck, we run 1 copy of Albion and 1 Ecclesia. We either send this card using the Fallen or White Albaz's effect. Albion can set a Fallen, and Ecclesia is a removal. 1 copy of Draco Berserker, as this is a card we summon with White Albaz's combo. 1 copy of Malong, and the card we usually send with Harmonia's effect for an extra removal, and the rest of the commonly used cards we play in a Red Dragon Archfiend deck. For the side deck, we run 3 copies of Perulia. We sub this in when we play decks that prefer summoning from the hand. 1 copy of Feather Duster and Heavy Storm for back row removal. 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent. 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets, but you can replace this with Book of Eclipse if you find killer tunes hard to beat. 1 copy of Red Reboot for against decks like Odion or Labyrinth. 1 copy of Branded Beast. 1 copy of Eradicator, which Red Lotus can send to the graveyard to remove your opponent's spell or trap cards from hand. This card is good against Sky Strikers for spells, and Odion or Labyrinth for traps. And 3 copies of Solemn Accusations. Similar to before, this is the general structure I follow when activating cards from hand. The YDK decklist will be available in the video description for those who want to view it in full or download it for easy import.
魔法クリムゾンヘルガイアを発動。いでよパワーバイスドラゴン。チューナーモンスターダークネスリゾネーター。シンクロ召喚我が魂ザ・クリムゾンキング。ザ・クリムゾンキングのモンスター効果発動。我が魂レッドデーモンズドラゴン。チューナーモンスターソウルリゾネーター。イデンドーンデーモンチューナーモンスタービジョンリゾネーター。シンクロ召喚レッドライジングドラゴン。シンクロ召喚現れよスカーレットデーモン。魔法カードクリムゾンヘルコールを発動。チューナーモンスターシンクロンリゾネーター。シンクロ召喚エンマリュウレッドデーモンアビス。バーニングソウルスカーレットノバドラゴン。レッドデーモンドラゴンの攻撃アブソリュートパワーフォア。スカーレットノバドラゴンの攻撃バーニングソウル